Kim Jong Un's early life was shrouded in mystery. His exact birth year is not publicly confirmed, but it is thought to be either 1983 or 1984. He is the son of Kim Jong Il, North Korea's previous leader, and his mother was Ko Young-hwae, who was actually an opera singer and Kim Jong Il's consort. The family's private affairs were a closely guarded state secrets. Very few people outside the inner circle even knew of him. He was largely hidden from the world's view, a young boy growing up in extreme isolation. A significant part of his youth was actually spent in Switzerland. He attended private schools there under an alias known as Pak Un, or sometimes Chol Pak. He lived with his maternal aunt and her husband, and according to reports, he studied near Bern. He was remembered as a quiet student, interested in basketball, and he also enjoyed video games and American movies. This offered just a glimpse of a normal student life, a life starkly different from that in Pyongyang. This experience exposed him to Western norms, and the contrast between his Swiss education and North Korean reality was, well, immense. In Switzerland, he experienced relative freedom and saw firsthand how open societies functioned. He learned foreign languages, including some German and English. Then he had to return to North Korea, re-entering one of the world's most closed societies, a nation built on a cult of personality and strict ideological control. This duality would go on to shape his future actions, a Western education meeting an isolated state. Before his father's health declined, Kim Jong Un had a very limited public profile. He was not initially seen as the clear successor. His older half-brother, Kim Jong-nam, was considered, and his other elder brother, Kim Jong-chol, was also a possibility. However, Kim Jong-un was reportedly his father's favorite and was quietly groomed for leadership. This preparation happened largely behind closed doors, away from international scrutiny. His path to power was carefully managed internally, building up to an eventual sudden unveiling. Kim Jong-il, the dear leader, died in December 2011, and his death thrust his young son into the spotlight. Kim Jong-un was believed to be only in his late 20s at the time, possessing very little overt political or military experience. This lack of a track record was, honestly, quite significant. The nation and the world watched closely. How would this young man manage? It was a moment of great uncertainty, both for North Korea and its future, a heavy burden for such young shoulders. His succession really surprised many international observers and analysts. For years, speculation had focused on his older brothers. Kim Jong-nam had lived abroad for years and had sometimes made critical comments about the regime. Kim Jong-chol was reportedly deemed too effeminate by his father, so the choice ultimately fell upon the youngest son. Kim Jong-un was rapidly anointed as the heir, and the transition process was swift and decisive. There was little time for external powers to react. The dynasty was determined to continue. North Korea's powerful state media machine went into overdrive, working tirelessly to build up Kim Jong-un's image. He was hailed as the great successor, with propaganda efforts linking him directly to his revered father and to his grandfather Kim Il-sung, the nation's founder. This was really crucial for establishing his legitimacy, especially given his youth and relative obscurity. He needed to appear as a natural inheritor of the Kim family's revolutionary mantle. The goal was to ensure unquestioning loyalty. The world watched with a mixture of curiosity and apprehension. Could this young, untested leader truly control North Korea? The country had powerful, entrenched military figures, and the Workers' Party was full of seasoned officials. Many were skeptical about his ability to command and questioned if he could maintain a firm grip on such a complex and isolated state apparatus. Some predicted internal instability or even a collapse. His early days were marked by intense scrutiny, and honestly, few anticipated the ruthlessness he would soon display. Upon taking power, Kim Jong-un moved quickly to assert his authority. He understood the need to appear strong and decisive, since any sign of weakness could be exploited by older, more established figures within the regime. He needed to secure his position unequivocally. This meant eliminating any potential challengers or those whose loyalty might be questionable. He could not afford to share power. His control had to be absolute. This set the stage for a period of, frankly, brutal consolidation. The most prominent example was the purge of Jang Song-taek, who was Kim Jong-un's own uncle by marriage. Jang was considered a highly influential figure, almost second in command. and many saw him as a potential regent or kingmaker. In December 2013, Jiang was dramatically arrested. He was accused of treason, corruption, and counter-revolutionary activities, and his execution was swift and highly publicized. This sent shockwaves through North Korea and the world. It was a clear demonstration of Kim's ruthlessness. No one, regardless of rank or family ties, was safe. Jang Song-taek was not the only one to fall. Numerous other high-ranking officials were targeted. Top military leaders were dismissed, demoted, or simply disappeared, and senior members of the Workers' Party faced similar fates. Some were reportedly executed using brutal methods, such as anti-aircraft guns, to serve as a deterrent. The exact numbers remain difficult to confirm, but the pattern of purges was undeniable. A systematic effort to remove the old guard and anyone perceived as a threat to his leadership. These purges were not random acts of violence. They were calculated moves to consolidate his power base. Established figures loyal to his father were systematically removed and replaced by a younger generation of officials, individuals who owed their careers and loyalty directly to Kim Jong Un. He was building his own power structure from the ground up, reshaping the leadership to ensure his complete control. This process was methodical and relentless, effectively neutralizing potential internal opposition and creating a new elite dependent solely on him. The brutal purges had an immediate and profound impact. They instilled a pervasive climate of fear among North Korea's elite. Officials at all levels became extremely cautious, understanding the severe consequences of any misstep or even any perceived sign of disloyalty. Constant anxiety became a part of their daily lives. They worried not only for their positions but also for their lives and the safety of their families. The message from the top was terrifyingly clear. Absolute obedience was the only path to survival. This atmosphere of fear effectively stifled any potential dissent. No one dared to openly question Kim Jong Un's decisions or challenge his authority in any way. The concept of collective leadership quickly vanished. Loyalty, or at least the convincing performance of it, was paramount. Even minor deviations from the official line could be dangerous. Officials learned to anticipate Kim's desires and to praise his wisdom extravagantly, because, well, the risks of doing otherwise were simply too great. This created an echo chamber around the young leader. The regime often used public displays to reinforce this fear. Reports of public executions, though hard to verify, circulated widely. Highly publicized demotions or arrests served as warnings. These acts demonstrated Kim Jong Un's absolute power and his willingness to use it without hesitation. The message was not just for the elite. It was intended to reach all levels of society, ensuring compliance through terror. This tactic was a hallmark of his rule, a way to maintain control over the population. Ultimately, Kim Jong Un's ruthless power moves were successful. He effectively consolidated his authority over North Korea by eliminating potential rivals and silencing dissenters. He established himself as the undisputed supreme leader. The climate of fear he cultivated became a defining feature of his rule and of life within North Korea. This has had a lasting impact on the country's governance and on the psychology of its officials and citizens. His grip on power, forged in fear, remains tight, shaping the isolated nation's present and future.